this is Kevin, and welcome back to another anime review. And today I'm going to be continuing my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure review series, now moving on to what many people consider to be the best part of the entire series, and that is Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, which is 39 episodes, and so it's split into 2 Blu-rays. Today we're going to cover the first 20 episodes, and then next week we'll cover the remaining episodes. And I gotta warn you guys, this is the spoiler warning. If you have not seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, go watch it. The way I do my reviews, I sort of do like a spoiler review discussion. So I assume everyone's watched it before. So I guess I'll say spoiler warning again. Anyway, like any other part from JoJo's, we changed protagonists. In this case, skipping ahead about a decade to the year 1999, following the brand new JoJo, Josuke Higashikata, who is the illegitimate son of Joseph Joestar. And we learned that in the very first episode. But when I first heard that, I'm like, dude, Joseph cheated on Suzy Q? Like, what the hell, man? I never would have thought Joseph would have cheated on Suzy Q. But apparently he did. Right before he and the boys went to Egypt to fight Dio, he's like, look at that Tamako. I'm going to hit her up. And out came Josuke. And there are a few returning characters here, including Joseph, who I believe is in his 80s now. At the end of Part 3, he was in his late 60s. So, skipping ahead about a decade, I think he's in his late 70s, early 80s, we'll say. And we have Joseph, and we also have Jotaro Kujo returning, who acts as the mentor for Josuke, similar to how Joseph was the mentor to Jotaro in Part 3. But what's so cool about this part is the fact that early on, it has this comfy slice-of-life feel to it where, you know, similar to how Part 3 had the Stand Monster of the Week type deal, it has that going on, but otherwise, just the characters living their lives, just being peaceful. And you don't even see the main villain, Yoshikage Kira, until around episode 18, which this is him right here. So, the fact that this Blu-ray's 20 episodes, we don't even see the main villain until, like, towards the end, the second to last episode. I thought that was very well done, an excellent story, and, you know, I just love how he's in the background sort of scheming. And from his point of view, he's a real son of a bitch. But from his point of view, he just wants to live a peaceful life, which everyone in Morio does. But by him living a peaceful life, he's causing harm to others, which we'll explain what he's up to a little later. So real quick, let me get to the voice cast, because got a great cast of voice actors here, especially to the late Billy Kametz, who voices Josuke Higashikata. And Billy Kametz passed away last year after battling colon cancer, so rest in peace to him. He did a phenomenal job as Josuke. His performance will forever live on the Blu-ray. And he also voiced characters such as Maruki in Persona 5. He was in animes like Demon Slayer, Rising of Shield Hero, and the video game Fire Emblem Three Houses, among other things. So rest in peace to Billy Kametz. We have Zach Aguilar as Koichi Hirose, Jalen K. Castle as Okuyasa Nijimura, the great Vic Mignogna as Rohan Kashibe, and this might be one of the last voice acting roles for Vic, because I believe the English dub here came out in 2018, and then that Dragon Ball movie came out in 2019, and you guys know the story with that. So, you know, the legendary Vic Mignogna doing a great job as Rohan Kashibe. We have Matthew Mercer returning as Jotaro Kujo. We also have Richard Epcar returning as Joseph Joestar. We have Allegra Clark as Tamako Higashikata, that's Josuke's mother. Kira Buckland as Reimi Sugimoto. And fun fact about Kira Buckland, she goes on to voice Jolene in Part 6, which is, it's kind of a fun fact there, because, like, Reimi is this really cute character, and then you have the same voice actress go on to voice Jolene, who's like this badass character. So I thought that was kind of fun. Faye Mata as Yukiko Yamagishi, Brian Beacock as Shigekio, and Brian Beacock, if you don't know, voices Yumi Chika in Bleach, and Takoto in Digimon Tamers. And then we also have DC Douglas, of course, as Yoshikage Kira. And there's some other characters. I'll leave them off till we cover the next Blu-ray. Oh, also, which I haven't mentioned this, all these reviews later, David Vincent as the narrator. How could I forget him? He's narrated all the other parts up to here and all the other parts thereafter. And you know, he sort of breaks the fourth wall sometimes, which David Vincent's great. So, great voice cast. And like I said early on, it's got the comfy slice of life feel to it. We have, Jotaro makes his way to meet Josuke early on to tell him that he's the son of Joseph, and Joseph wants to meet him before he dies, and that whole thing. And then the plot early on is about the arrow, which we heard about the arrow, and we saw the arrow in part 3. That was what Yama the Hag used to give other people stand abilities, because, at first, it was just those in the Joestar family, because they had the Joestar birthmark, and that's what Jotaro says to Josuke. He's like, you have the birthmark, right? So you have a stand. And then he reveals his stand, which is called Shining Diamond, which in the Japanese version, it's Crazy Diamond, because in the English dub, they censor a few names here. Like there's a stand, the normal name is Bad Company, right, after the band name. But here it's called Worst Company, and there's, a few things like that. So it's just the way it is, the way they censor the names because of the copyright reasons, I suppose. And then a really funny gag going on with Josuke with his hairdo. He has the pompadour. Like, in the very first episode, he's going to school, and these bullies are, making fun of his hairdo. He's like, "What'd you say about my hair? Shining diamond! Muda!" And we got that, too, in part 3 when Jotaro used Star Platinum. Like, "Muda, Muda, Muda!" Here, you get it even more like, "Muda!" whenever they do a punch or whatever. It's so badass, just the way they say it. So, eventually, like, as time goes on, you meet more friends. He's got Koichi, and then Koichi gets impaled by the arrow, by the Okuyasa, the Nijimura brothers. Okuyasa and Keicha, I think was the other brother's name, who are trying to make more stand users to kill their father, which is very fucking dark, but they have reasons for it. So, their father was being mind-controlled by Dio. He had one of those flesh bugs in his brain, similar to Kakyoin and Polnareff in part 3. And after Dio died, because it wasn't removed, their father turned into like this green blob-looking thing, and the Nijimura brothers are trying to put their father out of his misery, so they're trying to create more stand users. They've given themselves stands. In Okuyasu's case, he has the hand, which can sort of like teleport things around, and you have Keicho Nijimura, who has Worst Company, which are basically like these army men. Like, think of in Toy Story, the army men who come to life and start shooting. But they can't kill their father, and so they're trying to, do other things with stand users. And then we find out with Josuke's stand ability, Shining Diamond, which can repair things, and even repair organs and stuff, although it has a catch. If Josuke, say, gets, shot in the stomach or gets his heart blown up, he can't repair his heart. But he can heal his allies, and he can repair buildings and houses and things like that. And they see in the corner that the Nijimura father is trying to put this little picture back together, which Josuke does with Shining Diamond, and it's revealed that it's like a family photo of the Nijimura brothers, and then his wife and himself. And they see that, despite being turned into this deformed blob-looking thing, he still has his memories, and so they're going to vow to fix him. So Okuyasa joins the group. And, they have more run-ins of other characters, just sort of like one-off Match of the Week stuff. And I forgot to mention this too already, but what sets everything into motion is there's this guy named Angelo going around who kills Josuke's grandfather, who's also a police officer. And that's where Josuke sort of gets the call to action, the hero's journey arc going on. And that's in like the second episode. So I skipped ahead a little, but you'll have to forgive me. So then we get a funny two-part episode where, like, the hot girl from school, Yukiko Yamagishi, is hitting on Koichi and like, takes Koichi back to her house. But turns out she's fucking crazy. and she has, like, stand ability with her hairdo and is, kidnapping Koichi. And Koichi has probably one of the coolest stands called Reverb, which has 3 different forms. And in the battle against Yukiko, sort of evolves and has these sound wave abilities, and he's able to break free and has like a badass fun with her. He's like, you might be hot, but you're crazy, bitch. And he leaves her high and dry. And he like cuts her hair, and she gets all upset. So later on, she has to get like a makeover, and there's more of an arc there. There's another funny 2-part episode. Actually, it's a 1-part episode when Josuke and Okuyasa go to the Italian restaurant and meet Tonio Trussardi, who has this great Italian accent. And he's like, "Let me see your hand." And he's doing like a palm reading of Okuyasa's hand to figure out what kind of course meal he'll get. And at first he brings out the water. It's like, "The finest water, purified spring water from Venice." Okuyasa starts drinking it, and he's crying like all over the place. And Josuke's like, "Are you okay, dude? Like, what, is everything all right? Oh, this water tastes delicious, Josuke." And then he gets like his next meal, which is like, the fresh mozzarella, the antipasto. And after that, he has an itch on his shoulder. He starts itching, and all of a sudden there's this giant ball of flesh. And again, Josuke's like, "What the fuck? What's this guy feeding you?" And so he decides to go into the kitchen, and you get like this scene with Tonio holding the butcher's knife, and you think he's gonna turn out to be the villain, like stab Josuke, but then turns out he grabs the bar of soap. He's like, "You must wash your hands if you come into the kitchen. What is the meaning of this? Molto bene." And it's such a fucking hilarious episode. So you got all that going on. Then you got like the Arrow and the villain Red Hot Chili Pepper, who's can travel through the electrical currents, and you know, that whole thing going on. And the cool thing about the Arrow, they foreshadow a lot of what's going to happen with the Arrow in part 5. I just figured I'd mention that. And this is at the same time as Joseph is making his way to Morio. And there's a funny moment when he's on the boat and Okuyasa's there and he starts talking to him. And then Joseph's like, I can't hear you. Like, he's just a stereotypical old man. And then like a part where his cane breaks and Josuke catches him. And it's a sweet moment there. And then and there's some more episodes when, you know, they're trying to do some bonding, Josuke and Joseph, because, you know, he hasn't seen his son in so long, and they see this invisible baby, and the baby's invisible because it has its stand abilities, and they're, you know, Joseph wants to take care of the baby because it has a stand, and it's everything it touches turns invisible. So Josuke keeps yelling at him because he's the old man, but he like cuts his hands because they're in water. He cuts his hands so that like the blood leads to the baby. So ultimate sacrifice there, and Josuke has admiration for his father. And then there's another funny episode when he goes to like the pharmacy to buy all these diapers and stuff, and the clerk's like, "What do you mean you don't know what size the kid is? Aren't you looking after it? Whose kid is this?" And they put makeup on the kid, and that's pretty funny. So then we meet Rohan Kishibe, who is the manga artist. And he has the stand ability Heaven's Door. And with Heaven's Door, he can turn you into a book and read all your memories. And that's what he uses for his stories in manga. And he like does like this writing, and it reminds me so much of Death Note with Light and Mikuni writing really fast. Like delete, delete, delete. Remember when Mikuni was doing that in the second half of Death Note? That's what it reminded me of. So he eventually reads Josuke and learns the story about his hair. And what happened was when all the stand abilities were awakened after, you know, Dio, remember when Holly in part 3 was having trouble with the stand ability? The same thing happened with Josuke, and Tomiko was taking Josuke to like a hospital, and they were in the snow, and some random dude pushed the car out of the snow, and he had the pompadour, and Josuke remembered that and decided to, you know, honor the hero who saved him in the snowstorm. So I thought that was a nice touch. And then there's another episode when Rohan and Koichi end up going down like this alley, which takes them into the Purgatory realm, and they meet Reimi Sugimoto, which where you get like the first, not name drop, but the acknowledgement that there's a serial killer in Moria. And Reimi is there with her dog Arnold, another casualty in JoJo's that happens to be our four-legged friend. And she said she was killed by this man that we don't know his name, but it's been going on for decades. She was the first victim, and it keeps happening. And you guys gotta find who the murderer is. And you know, for people who always like, oh, JoJo's so gay. There's a lot of waifus in part 4. Like we had Yukiko, we had Tomiko, we have Reimi. A lot of you know, waifus in part 4, as opposed to, you know, let's say part 2, where it's just cars and the Pillar Men just being macho men. But anyway, I figured I'd mention that as well. So they go back there, and then there's another cool moment when Okuyasa and Josuke meet Shigekio, who has the stand Harvest, which are like these little bugs that are picking up the coins that people are dropping, and they end up getting like this lottery ticket. And there's a funny episode where they're lying about who they are to try and cash in the winnings and that whole thing. And then it ends with Yukiko getting like this makeover, sort of setting the stage for what's going to happen in the second half with our villain, and her going off with Koichi, and everyone having their new friends, and then also the acknowledgement of Yoshikage Kira, which you see him, and he's talking to a hand that he severed from some woman, and he has a fetish for hands and fingers and fingernails, which all leads into the second half of the Blu-ray. So let me go and show you some of the screenshots now, because it's better for me to explain myself that way, but I just like to get my thoughts all out there. So, you know, hopefully you guys enjoy. And this is more of like you guys listen to it. I don't know, does anyone watch these? Or do you just listen to it? So again, here's some of our characters. You see the stands, right? And you just got the stereotypical JoJo poses. You gotta love how they do that. And that's Tomoko and Jotaro's grandfather, right? And this dude Angelo, who is this villain who kills his grandfather, who's a police officer, and he's getting revenge there. And that's when you have the hero's journey begin for Josuke, where he has a new determined outlook, and he's like, oh, I gotta avenge my grandfather and do good. And he turns Angelo into this fucking pillar here. Oh yeah, there's a few moments where they're acknowledging the past, and here we have Jotaro looking at the picture from Egypt. So, like, here's some of the crazy shit that bleed all over the place, but of course Jotaro could use Shining Diamond to heal him, and that's the Stand Worst Company, which is the, you know, the army men. And that's Keicho Nijimura. And that's the father, right? He's turned into like this green blob looking thing, and he just wants to put the picture back together to look at his family again. So yeah, there's like, you know, the Monster of the Week type episode. I don't even remember this guy's name. Like, he's only in there one episode and just whatever. But it just has this comfy feel to it, you know. The fact that I don't remember his name doesn't matter. It's just so comfy. So here's the one with Yukiko and her hairdo. Which, yeah, she starts out, she's kind of cute, like, okay, Koichi, I get it, but she's fucking crazy. Look at her. He's trying to, like, escape the bathroom. Let me get rid of my face, because I'm probably, like, blocking Koichi, and it's like, she's fucking crazy. So, yeah, that's when Reverb evolves to the next form, and he's not taking any of her shit. Koichi has a lot of badass moments, let me tell you, man. Even more so in the next half. Here's the one with Tonio Trusade. They go to the Italian restaurant, and like he's cooking. He's got like the stand aura. How dare you come into my kitchen? You need the bar of soap. What are you doing? So good, man. And this is Red Hot Chili Pepper, which this dude has a fucking guitar and everything. And that's when they meet Joseph. He says, I can't hear you. And his cane breaks and Josuke catches his father. So that was a sweet moment. This is when they find the invisible baby. And because the baby falls in the water, he cuts his hand. So that pools of blood. Like somebody bleeding in this show, man. It's crazy. But yeah, Joseph looks after the kid after they put makeup on him, because the kid can't turn to normal. Doesn't know how to use the stand ability. So yeah, here's the introduction to Rohan Kashibe, where he's fucking nuts too. He stabs this spider and starts like licking the silk. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But yeah, voiced by Vic Mignogna, such an awesome character, and he uses Heaven's Door to turn into a book so he could read his story, and that's how he gets all the stories in his manga. And this is the one where we get the flashback. This is how Josuke got the hairdo. This nameless hero who pushed him out of the snow. Oh yeah, how can I forget this? This was another funny one where they go up against the next stand, which got hit by the arrow. Rat, named after the band, Rat with 2 T's. Who fires like fucking lasers and shit. Oh, and they make their way to the Purgatory Alley, right? And they meet Raimi, who I'm just saying, she's cute, man. I think she's great. With Arnold, the poor dog who also perished at the hands of Yoshikage Kira, and she pleads to Rohan and Koichi to find the killer and avenge her. So this is important for later on too, acknowledging that in the Purgatory Alley, they call it Ghost Alley, that, you know, these arms will drag you to hell. And then we meet Kira, who is talking, before we see the hand, he's just talking, you think he's got like a girl in the passenger seat. Nope, he's talking to the fucking hand, and he has a hand, finger, and nail fetish. Oh boy. So here's Shigekio, who has Harvest, and they become best buds with him. And he's this dorky, like, hey guys, it's me, Shigeki. He has like that voice. So good, man. So they find all this money and then this lottery ticket. And then it ends with Yukiko getting this makeover from Aya. With the stand with very suggestive nipples. Like, what the fuck? So she gets the makeover. And it ends on a positive note with everyone sort of being happy and no casualties yet. But, man, things get crazy in the second half. And I gotta say, we'll cover this next week. Like, the last 5 episodes of the entirety of part 4 is fucking crazy. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thought in the comments down below, and stay tuned next week for my review of episodes 21 to 39. The rest of part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. So thanks guys, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out. Money, 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 Mojo Radio.